Nicky Chilcott is a trailblazer in the sport of harness racing. The Cambridge-based horsewoman, where she's been throughout her entire life, has trained and driven over 500 winners, the only female to have that wonderful achievement. Today we sit down with her, talk about the ups and downs of life both on and off the track, and learn a lot more about her undeniable will to win.
Nick, I suppose it's appropriate we're sitting here at Cambridge because it's been such a big part, not only your working life, but your life in general.
Yeah, it has. Probably, I'm going to say at least 30 years here, so that's a long time. But yeah, it's a great town. I remember as a kid living in Morrinsville, and we used to come over here, obviously, to the races and the trials and things like that. And it's just a town I've always wanted to live in, and probably didn't realise back then that I would end up here and establishing myself here. But yeah, just a great place, lovely place. It was probably better a few years ago. It's really got built up now. It's a really busy town. It's almost like a city, but yeah, beautiful place, and yeah, I'm really happy here.
Yeah, of course, your stables are over the back straight and your house is couple of 100 metres the other side of the racetrack, so you're really ensconced around this 1,000-metre circuit, aren't you?
Yeah, no, it's really handy. Look, house is just 2 minutes away, and I've got a property just down the road that's only sort of 5 minutes away, so it's great. It's a good setup. We're really lucky here that Cambridge put on, like, obviously a really good track and good facilities, and you know, with the things that are happening around here, all the new stables and that going in, yeah, it's a good place to be and looking forward to it.
And I suppose with the motorway, you're that much closer to Alexandra Park, because I know there's some challenges still with the traffic, but it's got to be better.
It's unreal. Like, we turn off out of the stables and turn left, go onto the motorway, and we don't make a turn until we get to Alexandra Park. So just time-wise, sometimes it can still be, you know, you get to Mount Wellington there at Tip Top Corner and it can be a bit of a jam-up, but yeah, for the most part, just so good for the horses, you know. Whereas before we're sort of stopping and turning, and it's just a great trip up for the horses and people, of course. So yeah, the new motorway's been great.
Your dad, Graham, was a handy horseman, trained nearly 50 winners. So tell me about early life. What was that like? Was it always going to be horses, and would you rather do the horses than go to school?
Yeah, I actually didn't mind school, to be honest. Sort of school came relatively easy to me, so I was quite lucky I could do the horses and not have to spend too much time working hard at school. So, but it was something I always wanted to do. Mum and Dad would have preferred, and I did actually. They made me sort of pack off and go to uni, but I came back to it. It was probably from, I think that they tell me the day I came home from the hospital when I was born, they plonked me on the back of the horse, and yeah, it was probably never going to be anything else from there. So no, I love them. My brother hates them. There's yeah, he didn't mind the cattle and things like that, but yeah, I just loved them from day one. They were just my passion.
All right, what were you doing at uni? What were you studying there?
I started off doing pre-med. I was sort of going to be a doctor to start off with, and then I went down to Otago, and I did my first year of pre-med at Waikato, and then went to Otago and sort of decided that I was probably wanting to do that for all the wrong reasons. It was like the money was going to be good, and yeah, that sort of thing. So then I crossed over and did phys ed. I didn't end up finishing uni. I got quite badly hurt down there. I had a brain injury down there, and so I didn't end up completing. I'm not qualified in anything as such, but yeah, came out of that and then did a bit of school teaching at Hamilton Girls High for a wee bit, just filled in there. I'd only just finished uni, and the school rang and said, "We're desperate, we need a relief phys ed teacher." And I said, "Oh my God, I don't know anything about teaching." They're like, no, you'll be right, just come along. So I ended up doing a bit of relief teaching there for probably a couple of years. And then, yeah, got back into the horses. Dad was still training then, and sort of helped him, and then eventually ended up taking over his colours, and he retired, and away I went.
Yep, Local Choice was your first winner for Dad.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was actually pretty special, to be honest. My nan, Dad's mum, she used to follow me and was, you know, always excited. Back those days, it wasn't on TV. She'd always be lining up, listening to the radio. And she actually died the week. I think we buried her the day before I drove my first winner. So that happens so often that, you know, there's a death or a passing, and then a horse goes on and wins. So yeah, to get my first one Would have been really good for her to see it, obviously, but yeah, I think she was there riding me home.
And I think she won about 5 races that horse, so it was a pretty nice one to get on early on.
Yeah, absolutely. She was. And Dad was driving her. I was badgering him the whole way. Oh, let me have a go, Dad. And yeah, finally did. And yeah, it was great. Really exciting.
Late 90s, you take out your trainer's licence and you get off to a flyer with Waharoa.
Yeah, I think like anyone that kicks off training and that, you do just have to be lucky. I mean, it doesn't matter how good or bad a trainer you are, you've got to have the stock. And it was a breed that Guy Fleming, I think, from Taranaki, his breed, and Dad had trained for him. And we leased this wee horse. He was only a little pony of a horse. And yeah, for the first couple of years, he wouldn't pace. And I got a few of my mates into him. And yeah, then when he did decide, he started pacing and he was away. He was just a wee cracker.
Yeah, he ended up running 4th in an Easter Cup behind Anvil Vance, or a couple other good horses in that too. Happy Asset. So yeah, you really did hit the ground running, because I think you trained about 14 winners in your first year and about 25 in the second. So where were you sourcing these horses from? Because many of them were either A, cast-offs, or B, from the South Island.
Yeah, a lot of cast-offs. Like, obviously you don't get offered horses, you know, just off the bat. You've sort of got to prove yourself a wee bit. And Phil Barber was actually a massive help to me early days. You know, he'd see horses on videos that were a bit naughty or had a lot of ability, and maybe just things weren't working out for them down south. So I did get a lot of horses up from the South Island, and as I say, he's very good at his job, and yeah, it was a huge help to me early days in getting them. And you know, he helped with owners too. Sometimes the people would send them up, you know, do sort of deals and stuff like that. But yeah, it was, once again, you just got to be lucky, and he managed to find me the right horses, and they came up and did the job.
Shoemaker, Shredder, I think Shoemaker might have won 4 or 5, Shredder double that. And then this horse Disprove came along. How did that happen?
Yeah, just a phone call out of the blue. Yeah, a guy from the South Island rang and said, look, he's just not sort of doing what he's supposed to down south. He's been a wee bit naughty, and they said, we just thought we might try a female. So that's, yeah, being a girl wasn't always a plus, but yeah, in that instance it was.
Peter Jones trained him.
He did,
right?
that's right. And he ended up winning, I think he won the Winter Cup for me. I sent him back down there and Pete drove him, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, it was really good. So Pete said he always liked the horse and had a lot of ability. But yeah, I probably just got him at the right time, and he was young back then, and just doing a few wee things wrong, and I just spent a lot of time riding him and took him to the beach, and yeah, he just fitted into our routine really, and yeah, he was just, he obviously did a great job, but he was just a cool dude as well.
Yeah, his first one was at Bay of Plenty, and David Butcher was on him. Well, how did that come about?
Yeah, well, I had a few maidens at the time, and Whale was sponsoring me, and one of the maidens that I had was Wales, and he said, oh, you got to be driving my one, and so that was fair enough. And Disprove, he was a wee bit of a handful, and David got on him and drove him at the trials a couple of times, and got on really good with him. And back then it's kind of a hard decision to make, because I was trying to make my way as a trainer and a driver, and to sit on the sideline and watch the best one you've got in your stable going around. But look, he's obviously a terrific driver, David, and in my opinion I still think he is the best. So he clicked with him, and it just made sense to have someone that could drive him all the way through and that could stick with him. And he did a great job with him, David, he really did. He was a wee bit of a handful early on, and yeah, testament to him. The horse wouldn't have done as well if he didn't do his part of it. Obviously it's a team effort, but yeah, he certainly did a great job with him.
Yeah, he was placed behind Panky's Pacer in a Wellington Cup, but you got your Group 1 as a trainer. We'll talk about the driving side of it soon, but by winning that Easter Cup of 2001, and that must have been pretty special. I know Cambridge is your home, but so many people feel Addington's the home of harness racing, so to get your Group 1 there was right up there, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was actually quite funny. I think he won the week before the Easter Cup. He won I think it might have been the Country Cups final. And I said to Butch when we came off, like, he wasn't a shoo-in to get a start. Back in those days, you had to pretty much be open class to be guaranteed a start in that race. And I said to Butch, "Hey, what do you think? You know, should we have a crack?" And he goes, "Oh, mate, he's in the zone. You know, why not?" So we actually went south, and he still wasn't a guarantee of getting in. And so anyway, we got in, and we just thought like he was a great beginner, and thought there was probably a few in there at that stage that were better than him. I thought, you know, he'll step and get handy, and that'll be his only chance. He missed away. It was like nearly in tears in the stand, but. And then he settled and sort of tagged on, and then Butcher's off and around them, and I'm like, oh my God. But hey, should have had faith in him. He knew what he was doing, and he knew the horse he had, and yeah, it was real special.
Just before that, and you have had some horrible race falls, both in race meetings and obviously in training as well, but you had a bad one, didn't you? Manawatu.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. I've had a lot of trouble with my back my whole life, and I had spinal surgery. I had it was fused when I was 17. I had my first back operation, so yeah, it wasn't great. And then yeah, just one of those things. It was the last race, and yeah, just went into the first turn and copped a check, I think.
Do you remember the name of the horse?
No.
Chosen Path.
Chosen Path. Nah, I didn't.
You chose this path.
Yeah, it wasn't a path we didn't want.
Didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It was yeah, pretty ugly and a bit of a scary time. I think my mum and my brother ended up jumping in the car and driving. They were in a mad panic, and they went to New Plymouth instead of Palmerston North. So that made a bit of a long journey for them by the time they got there. And yeah, so yeah, it wasn't pretty, but hey, look. You know, it wasn't great, but at the end of the day, it was, yeah, I didn't do any damage to my spinal cord. Well, I did initially. I sort of had no feeling in my bottom part for a few days, but it turned out to be just swelling of the spinal cord, and it came right. And yeah, we fought our way back.
Yeah, ribs, shoulders, all sorts of injuries makes it, on cold mornings, I'm picking, you'd be a little bit slower to get going.
Yeah, the first half hour of the day's not real pretty, so I've got to set my alarm probably an hour before I actually need to be at work so I can get moving. So, but you know, we all have our ups and downs, and these things are set to challenge you. But yeah, you just get up and get going, and yeah, press on.
Both gates you've had success with. Do you prefer one over the other?
I've got to say I prefer anything fast, but I do have a real soft spot for the trotters. Yeah, I love the trotters. They're probably a little bit more of a challenge. You know, I love just playing around with them. And saying that, they can be a whole lot more frustrating too to get them right. But yeah, I do like the trotters.
Nick, that 2004 season, you got close to 40 wins, and Landora's Image won about 5 that season, and Cosmic Illusion won half a dozen. They were a couple of horses that, you know, really added impressively to that total.
Yeah, without a doubt. Landora's Image, once again, Phil Barber had a lot to do with that. He was great friends with Barry Lichter, and you know, Phil was badgering him for quite a while before she came down. He just thought that she would suit me. And Barry, being the loyal man he is, he didn't want to take the horse off Dave, who you know, was obviously a very good trainer of the trotters.
Yep.
Yeah, Dave Gibbons. But then Dave, from memory, he was sort of coming to the end of his training, and yeah, it just worked out. Barry sent him down, Barry and Donna, and yeah, she just did a great job. She was a lovely little mare. Probably wasn't very tough, but boy, if she could be saved up for one run, she had a huge amount of speed. So yeah, she did a great job. And Cosmic Illusion, yeah, Russell and Heather Steele, who have still got wee shares in horses now. Phone just rang one day, and you know, probably when you are going good, you know, people do send you horses, and probably more so back then than now. It's a little bit more of a struggle, but yeah, phone rang, and I had a few horses for them, and yeah, Cosmic Illusion is a lovely horse. He did a great job, and I had a few others for them too that did pretty well as well.
Nick, you've had some enormously loyal owners, and I don't want to leave any out, and hopefully you can help in that area.
I don't want to leave any out either. It's horrible.
The Brogden team, Graham Bowen, huge supporter of yours, and you think about the Brogdens. Leroy won 9, Lockie won 10, Juice won 9. We had a great run there. Move and Meg Butterworth have sent you a few lately that you've had good success with as well. Sacred Mountain and Prince Envy come to mind. Graham Neal has been a great supporter of yours.
Yeah, massive.
You know,
yep.
And your old mate who passed away, Cliff, he's a huge supporter of yours. Without them, you just can't run your stable, can you? You know, and like I say, I've probably left a couple out too, Nick. Yeah. Tell me about some of Cliff Thomas's horses, because he's been with your stable forever.
Yeah, so I think Shredder was probably the first, and I was a wee bit lucky to get him. Brent Donnelly trained him, and at the time Anna was working for me, and I think maybe they had a few wee problems with him, and you know, I was really fortunate that Brent suggested to send him to me, and we could take him to the beach and once again ride him and do all those kind of things. And look, he just thrived on it. He just loved the beach, loved being ridden, loved the beach. He wasn't the easiest of horses. In fact, he was a right sod at times, but you know, you put up with the good ones that carry on like that, and yeah, he was a really good horse, and he was the first one that Cliff had. And Cliff he was in partnership with my dad on the farm, so kind of like my granddad, I didn't have any grandfathers, and yeah, he was, you know, been there since I was a little tacker, and yeah, he was huge. You know, without him, yeah, it just wouldn't have been the same.
A heck of a lot harder, I know.
Dead right.
Another couple of trotters that I remember, Alien Waits won about 10 races. The flashy horse, Hot Chocolate Tart. Again, I'm talking about a lot of trotters here, so you've actually had huge success with the square gate. Is it the real challenge that's part of the mystique about the trotter? And you said before you rode a couple of them as well, so you know, you were able to mix their training up, and that's become a bit of an art form of the Nicky Chilcott White Star stables.
Yeah, I think it's probably like us, you know, you get sick of doing the same thing day in, day out, and, you know, I did have a lot of success just mixing things up for them, you know. It's like anything, you get bored of going round and round a track, and, you know, we used the beach a lot, and we used the pool, and I rode them, and can't quite do that nowadays. Life's not quite as easy nowadays, and if you do take a tumble, it hurts a whole lot more. But, yeah, certainly we did do that, and yeah, I do like the challenge of the trotters. I'd get home at night and get on Mr. Google and try to figure out what was going wrong and how I could fix it, and, you know, a lot of shoeing and that kind of thing. Although I can't shoe, I've got a lot of ideas, so my farriers probably drive them crazy. But yeah, and it's so rewarding, you know, when they come out and turn the corner or race well. So no, it is, yeah, as I say, the trotters are probably a whole lot more challenging than the pacers, but yeah, also very rewarding when it goes right.
When you get it right.
Yeah,
they can, and you've got a couple of young ones we'll talk about shortly that you've got it right with lately. COVID was a challenge. How did you cope with that?
Oh, this is going to sound terrible. I loved it. I had a month off. Tell you what, I think it might be the only time in my life, and I think you'd probably ask any trainer that, and you know, it was a tragedy for a lot of people. You know, they lost their livelihoods and their businesses, and so it's almost awful to say it was good, but you know, we just never really get a chance to have much of a break. You know, as trainers, you're constantly on the go, and there never sort of really is a day off. So because the Cambridge track closed down completely, and all our horses are on track, the only thing we sort of had to do every day was I had them all down at my property, and we just went down and fed them. So yeah, for me, it was a freshen up, and yeah, I've got to say, I actually enjoyed it.
You needed a freshen up, but I talked about your owners before. What about some of the staff and the satisfaction? And you mentioned Anna's name before, and she's clearly was associated with your stable for so long. You must be immensely proud of not only her, but some of the other staff that have come your way and have gone on in the game.
Oh, absolutely. Look, Anna's just a terrific trainer. I'd like to think she's picked up a few things from me along the way, but yeah, she's just gone on and doing a terrific job. And she was always going to. She's a gifted horse person, Anna. From, you know, when she first started with me, she was a real talent. She was a very good driver. You know, in my opinion, in her time, probably the best junior, and I was lucky to get her, and obviously used her services a lot. You know, I'd put horses out on the track that probably weren't the best horse in the race, but she'd just go out there and drive them a peach and get them home. So, no, very proud of what she's done. And obviously she's only just starting off, and the world's her oyster. She's going to continue to do really well, I'm sure.
Saw a little horse over at the stable before, one that I took a shine to, KD Royalty by Royal Aspirations. You really like her, don't you?
I do like her. Oh, God, we just had No major issues with her, but just little niggly things that, you know, would get her up to nearly going and something had happened. But in hindsight, you know, like with a lot of horses, we do put a lot of pressure on our young ones to perform. You know, it's such a costly exercise for owners, and, you know, back in the day you'd wait till they were 4 or 5 and it sort of didn't really matter, but nowadays it's just so expensive. So, you know, the emphasis is on trying to get the young ones up and going. Yeah, she did. She actually galloped going into the first turn and gave them a stretch and still beat them. So no, she's got a lot of ability, and I'm just hoping this year can be problem-free for her, and touch wood, so far it has been. So no, she was really impressive fresh up. And yeah, so fingers crossed she can go on with the job. The owners have been great. You know, they've backed my faith in her, and so hopefully they'll get the reward in due course.
And what about this other girl, the Moonstone?
Yeah, wow.
Monkey bones.
Yeah.
Not too many around these days.
Nah, there's not. No, Barry's got rights to the semen that's still around, I think.
Yep.
So yeah, he's pretty stoked about that. But yeah, just from day one, she was just a beautiful filly. Just had a great gait, and yeah, she, you know, I don't think you can ever force a horse to be a 2-year-old. You know, they either are or they aren't. And she just is. She's just a natural.
I
and
saw her with her ears back at the stables. She knows she's good, and she wants to let you know that too.
Yeah, a little bit spoilt probably, which doesn't help the cause. But yeah, she does know she's good.
Don't you often find that, particularly with the females, that, you know, when they need almost that little bit of spite about them to be good? Yeah,
I think you're dead right. You know, you across both codes, trotting and galloping, obviously, I think the very best of them have all got a bit of attitude, and I think you're right. I think they do. They definitely have to have that a bit of aggression, a bit of a will to win, and yeah, carry it onto the track. So she's certainly not lacking in that department.
No, I could tell that. I didn't go anywhere near those back legs. Obviously, you've had some great milestones, and to become the first female and only the 15th ever to have trained and driven more than 500 winners. Wind in her hair for two of the great people, Stephen and Phillips.
Absolutely.
You know, that and a rare salute from you as well, which you just don't see. That was right. Well, it's clearly right up there because it's never been done before.
No, it was huge.
It took a while though. You had a long build up to it, didn't you? Yeah. I think you've had that with a couple of your milestones.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people get to whether it's 99 or 499, and you just, yeah, it's like, God, is this ever going to happen? But yeah, it did, and obviously she was a terrific wee mare to me. I went down a pencil line from driving my first Group 1 on her in the Jewels and just got beat, but. Probably for her, like Bernie Michelle had her early days and obviously did a great job with her, and then Stephen Ann took her back over. She just had so many problems, that wee mare, and like often you'd get out on the track with her and you could just feel her, like she had a lot of aches and pains, but you know, she'd warm up like a crab, and the minute you spin behind that gate, it was game on, and she just forgot about it all. So her guts was, you know, what stood by her. She was just a terrific little mare.
Yeah, that was driving wise. Training wise, 500th winner was Phoebe Majestic, who actually beat Congrazia Love. And Matt Cross called that race. Maybe someone was on holiday and he managed to call it, but he nailed it, and so did you.
Yeah, it was great. Grant and Diane Beckett, who bred Phoebe Majestic, they don't have a share in her, but they've been loyal supporters over the years. Hot Chocolate Tart was one that myself and them raced together, and she's gone on and bred.
Grant stands Royal Aspirations.
Yes, he does. Yeah. So no, they've obviously, like many of my owners nowadays, have become very good friends, and so yeah, it was great. You know, Cliff had a share in her.
Yep.
So that was pretty special too. So no, it was huge. You know, it really was. I mean, I suppose at the time you don't really think about it, but you know, when you sit down and reflect on it, I haven't had a lot of big money owners, and I've never driven for any big stables. You know, it's just you know, really I've done probably the majority of my driving for the amateur owner trainer kind of people. So to get to that number is, yeah, I'm pretty proud.
Yep, you're a trailblazer, there's no question about that. And recently, Samantha Otley got past your driving number of about 670 wins. I know you took some pleasure out of that, didn't you? Like, the records was set there for someone to go past, and Sam's doing an incredible job, and the female driver probably is not as well recognised as the female jockeys. Is that fair to say?
I think, no, I think 100%. Probably there's not as many of us, which has got a lot to do with it. But look, she's a terrific horse person, Sam, and I'm stoked. I'm obviously not stoked that I've lost the crown as such, but couldn't have lost it to a better person. She's a great individual, and look, she's doing really good things. Obviously, I don't drive as much nowadays, so the fact that I have sort of buttoned off in that department, it was always going to be there for the taking, and yeah, couldn't have gone to a better sort.
Are we sitting at your favourite track? Is this your favourite harness racing track?
You know what? No. I love Otaki, and sadly we don't really race there anymore. I've never had a track where I've had so much luck.
Right.
You know, a funny track to be your favourite, but just I've won multiple Otaki Cups, and in more recent times they had the Wellington Cup there, and it just, yeah, I just love that track. It just, it seems to be really good to me. So probably not nowadays. It's just unfortunate the way things have, you know, with COVID and other bits and pieces, and, you know, they don't run. I think they maybe have one meeting, and it's only sort of in conjunction with the gallops nowadays. And it's just a long trek to take horses down there for only one day, and so yeah, it's just a little difficult for us to get there these days. But yeah, I got to say Otaki. This may be a close second, but yeah, Otaki.
I didn't see that coming.
No,
So
I
there
bet.
you go.
No, probably no one did.
What do you think's been your greatest accomplishment so far?
Yeah, I probably got to say the 500. You know, I was never. I'm probably not really a goal setter. Just put my head down and bum up and just try and do the best with what I've got, you know. So to get that, and probably even at the time never really gave it a lot of thought, but there's probably other people that commented on it and brought it up that has made me sort of realise that it is pretty big. So yeah, it would have to be that.
What about the future? What does it hold? You're not a goal setter, so therefore how far do you plan, or is it just roll with the punches?
Yeah, just roll with the punches, I think. Unfortunately, majority of my owners are quite old, which a lot of people have that problem. So it'd be nice to generate some young owners that are going to be able to hang around and still own horses. So no, I don't. I've got Leah there now, and she's doing a really good job driving, and she's pretty keen to get into the training side of things as well. You know, it's a hard gig to be a driver and make a living as a driver.
She shows some talent though, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. She's a really good girl and a really hard worker, and so keen to get better, you know, just every drive, make sure you tell me what I did wrong, and always happy to listen, and that's, you know, so important, and really keen to learn. So yeah, probably down the track, like to think that maybe we'll go into partnership, and I'm not ready to retire yet, but yeah, probably can't keep going forever. And, you know, I have sort of stepped back in the driving department. You know, things are a wee bit tough. I have had quite a few injuries, and nowadays it does make it a wee bit hard. But yeah, I still drive sort of majority of my own, and probably in time to come I'll stop sort of maybe driving the paces and still drive the trotters, because I do like them. But yeah, hopefully, you know, down the track, she'll step up, and she's really keen, and we need those young people, you know, to want to carry on. And so hopefully that's what her future and my future holds.
Awesome to catch up, Nikki. I can say this on behalf of the industry, you absolutely have been a trailblazer, and I know it's not finished, so who knows, we might get to do this again sometime.
Yeah, well, who knows? Hopefully, but yeah, I'm pretty happy. The industry's been good and bad to me. Like, but look, it's a lifestyle, and certainly one that's been kind to me. So, no, I've enjoyed it, and I hope that I can continue to enjoy it for a few years yet.